and welcome to the blogs of the Tanker. Unfortunately, the Xtopher Tanker cannot be here this Sunday to update you and his YouTube fans. I, Jemana, will therefore read a pre-recorded message emailed to the studio from Venice. Dear Tubers, look! It's an email from me in Venice. Here comes a very brief rundown of everything that has happened to me over the past few days. Any points you feel need elaborating, please let me know. So, I arrived in Trieste after a very uncomfortable plane flight, in which I was fairly sure my left eardrum exploded. It didn't, but it was jolly painful, and I couldn't hear anything from it for 2 days afterwards. Anyhow, Trieste was nice, peaceful, and rather wet. I stayed in a youth hostel after walking out of what was perhaps the worst hotel room I've ever seen, in a place run by some very strange peroxide blonde hag, with the aura of someone who's been chain-smoking, eye contact, who's been chain-smoking for the last 50 years. I wandered round Trieste a fair amount, and in the evening talked to a very earnest German medical student. He spoke for about 2 hours on the subject of bike theft in Pardieu, another Italian town. Next day it rained some more. I wandered some more, read my book a bit, and did a spot of diary keeping. Trieste, I decided, is a little dull, which is a shame. It's a nice place, but seems almost completely populated by old people. Second night at the hostel, I talked to an Italian who was doing a PhD in astrophysics. My knowledge of astrophysics exhausted, and I went to bed. Train ride to Venice was much fun. There were mountains, proper mountainy things with white tops and everything, to the right of the carriage, and the Adriatic to the left. Everyone else on the train seemed a little nonplussed, but along with the fact that my eardrum had miraculously healed itself overnight, and the sun was shining, I thought the journey was brilliant. Venice I like. I'm still impressed by the size of it. I think I was prepared for the classic views of the Grand Canal, etc., but the fact that people actually live here is very exciting. First night here, I got hopelessly lost in the back streets for a good couple of hours. The fact I'm on my own slight editing problems here. The fact I'm on my own means I can really take things at my own pace. This is nice. Met up with Webbo yesterday and had a good long chat and touristy session around St. Marco's, etc. For some reason he was in a very serious mood. He only asked me one for £1 million, would you? question, although the proposition was masturbate onto a cross in a church. Headed to another youth hostel. Met an American who was most unusual and quite obviously lied to me about having a girlfriend and being a photographer for a magazine within the first few minutes of having met. I got out of having supper with him because I was off to join Webbo and his war studies lot in a bar out on the town. A fair number of ugly American girls got chatted up, with lines regarding the calibre of variously differently dated weapons. Even so, I managed to get quite drunk. Webbo's friends kept buying me drinks, I really don't know why, and as a result had a rather good time. So much so that I missed my hostel's curfew. But no matter, I thought. Webbo will have a floor for me to sleep on in the officer's mess thing that he was staying in. So we wandered aimlessly back through Venice, in pursuit, / being followed by, various drunk American chicks. I was in a wonderfully happy mood, that I get the feeling wasn't shared by everyone. But I get the feeling that wasn't shared by everyone. Anyhow, the upshot of all this is that on our return to the mess, I got informed by an Italian officer that if I stayed, I would be thrown in an Italian military prison. Thus, I was left out in the cold. With no better ideas, I put on 2 extra shirts, my jumper, and donned the Woodlaw jacket over the top of my cord one. I found a slightly sheltered spot in St. Marco's Square, and spent a most uncomfortable 4 hours, in which I must have drifted off to sleep at some point, as I distinctly remember waking up with about 5 pigeons hopping towards me, and not having a clue as to where I was. In the morning I chatted to my strange American friend again, when I went to check out of the hostel. Apparently I managed to convince him to travel across Eastern Europe instead of around the rest of Italy, but that way may well also have been a lie. Since then I've booked into a hotel, had a nap and a shower, and written this email. That's all. I don't know what that says. Ciao for now. See you tomorrow. Full steam ahead. Chris. Surely you mean Xtopher Tanker?
It's Chris.
Chris.